Right now on Denver 7 News at 5 o'clock, a completely redesigned King Soopers opens today in Boulder, in the same spot where 10 people died in a mass shooting nearly a year ago, and the community is still grappling with the tremendous loss.
And it's certainly been a process of learning how do you deal with your emotions and do the work, and it's something I'm still learning.
We're talking to a museum curator who is turning art and other objects left in memory of the victims into a place for people to remember.
Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters is facing more legal trouble. The item investigators are demanding she turn over.
Also, it's another setback for Colorado's Michaela Schifrin at the Winter Olympics. She missed a gate and skied off course again in her second event. It's been so hard to watch. She's so hard on herself. But it's become the story of the Olympics.
The conditions there are awful.
Yeah,
terrible.
On the snow
I've heard it from
yeah.
a lot. Well, they are suppressing some of that, but I've heard it. It's bad.
Yeah, it's a lot of snowmaking.
Well, yeah. If you look at the area over there, it's all dry except for that ski run.
Except there, huh?
So
well,
we're hoping she can pull through. She has 3 more events to go. So we're rooting for her, certainly.
Yes. 3 more, all right.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us this morning on Denver 7 News. I'm Brian Sanders.
And I'm Nicole Brady. Lisa, we're keeping with the mild temperatures today. Maybe get a little snow.
Little. May see a flurry or two late tonight. There's a better chance Friday night that we would see a little bit of snow here in town. Right now, though, looking at clear conditions, a few clouds coming in from the northwest. The mountains will pick up a little bit of snow today. It'll be light, though, for the high country and above about 10,000 feet. So not heavy for our mountains. Low 30s, close to freezing early this morning. It feels like 23 out there, so you're going to find some cool conditions. It's a little cooler than where we were at the same time yesterday, but we're in for another really nice warm up. We should be in the upper 40s, again close to about 50 degrees this afternoon between noon and 2, so nice and mild again. Lots of melting in store. Very slim chance of picking up a flurry or two, mainly over the northeastern plains later tonight as this weak system rolls through. Now coming up, I'm going to take you through our futurecast, and I'll show you what that looks like as far as the chance for a little bit of snow today, plus just how much warmer it's going to get tomorrow.
And right now, the drive overall looks pretty nice for us anywhere you want to go, including out to the west side of town, north side of town. If you ever hear of earlier problems over there on 225 or I-70, those are all cleared up and moved out of the way. Take a look at I-70 out to the west side of town, where you can see here at Wadsworth it looks good. If you hear of a stall right there off to the side of the road, just a hazard, not even slowing down traffic really by any means. Take a look at the drive times around town, and they look just fine, whether it's through that earlier construction zone over on the east side of town. Highway 36 looks good, no problems again on I-70, 6th Avenue, and that south side of town is wide open as well. So a good start here to the morning commute anywhere you want to go.
Well, it is an emotional morning in Boulder today. The King Soopers on Table Mesa Drive will reopen its doors for the first time in nearly a year. Before shoppers are welcome inside this morning, there will be a time to pause and remember the 10 people killed in a mass shooting last March.
This morning, we are taking you inside the remodeled store. We'll also tell you how the city's museum is turning all those teddy bears and items left at the store's fence into a powerful memorial, and how a scholarship is helping one victim's legacy live on. Let's start by going inside this new store. Denver 7 got an inside look at the remodeling. Some of the changes include those large windows on the storefront. Also inside, higher ceilings, more light, and a reconfigured parking lot. It took time to reopen, but King Soopers says this store is an important part of the community and it's ready to welcome people back.
This store means so much to this community. It means so much to our associates, and from day one our associates wanted their store back, and the community continually told us that they wanted this location back. It's, if you will, a gathering place for people, and we are really excited to welcome them back.
On the west corner of the lot, a tree garden will be installed later this spring. There will be 10 trees planted, one for each of the 10 lives that were lost.
Meanwhile, a local museum is working to preserve all of the items that were left for the victims. You see here all the mementos and the Boulder Strong signs that were along the store's fence line in the aftermath of the tragedy. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta is live in Boulder this morning ahead of the reopening, and this memorial, Veronica, was just covered with flowers and all kinds of messages.
It was 11 months ago. This place looked a lot different than it does this morning. There was that fence that surrounded the South Boulder King Supers. And of course, like you just mentioned, that fence was covered in those handwritten notes, not only for victims, but also for victims' families, notes that were written by adults and children. It was also covered in teddy bears, flowers, and unique artwork. That's no longer here this morning, but it will be over at the Museum of Boulder, and that'll be open for everyone to come stop by and take a look, and of course, remember what happened here 11 months ago.
Like, it's not going to get thrown away. It's not going to just disappear. Like, it will still be in the public trust and will still be available to the community to help with healing and, research in the future and any, myriad of other opportunities and purposes for it.
Months after the shooting here at King Soopers, museum staff, they started slowly and carefully taking down the hundreds of mementos that we all saw were lined on that fence. Those items, they actually ended up at the George Reynolds Library basement right across the street. And that's where for weeks some of that museum staff was coming here. They were sifting through it, making sure they were taking a look at every single item, eventually putting them all in storage, deciding what they wanted to display in the museum and what they wanted family members of those victims to go ahead and hold on to.
It was very sombering to view. I mean, it just hits you in the face when you go down there and you see the names and the tributes and how much the people meant. And even if they didn't know anybody who was involved in that, everyone in the community was affected, and they wanted to show support and they wanted to pay tribute to the people who were injured and killed.
It's going to be called the Boulder Strong exhibit. It opens in about 9 days. That's on February 18th. And again, everybody is welcome to stop by and take a look at the hundreds of items that were left behind here after that shooting. We're in Boulder this morning. I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
And more tributes are coming later this year. Thank you, Veronica. We do want to take a moment to pause and remember the 10 people killed in the shooting last March. Denny Stong, Nevin Stanisic, Ricky Olds, Trelana Bartowiak, Suzanne Fountain, Terry Leiker, Officer Eric Talley, Kevin Mahoney, Lynn Murray, and Jody Waters. And we've preserved the stories from their family and friends on our website, thedenverchannel.com, and on the Denver 7 Plus app. You can read them at any time.
Mesa County's clerk Tina Peters is facing more legal trouble. On Tuesday, Grand Junction police briefly detained Peters and served a search warrant to seize her iPad. According to the warrant, Peters is accused of using the iPad to illegally record a court hearing Monday, then lying to the judge when asked about it. A security photo included in the warrant shows Peters sitting behind the defense table with the tablet resting on the bar. Right now, charges against Peters are pending. The courts say they want to review the video to determine if she was in fact recording the proceeding. Denver 7 reached out to Peters' representatives for comment. We have not heard back yet, though. This comes as a grand jury investigates Peters for allegedly tampering with county election equipment. Colorado's Secretary of State is also suing her in an effort to block her from overseeing November's elections. The city of Colorado Springs will pay nearly $3 million to the family of Devon Bailey. The 19-year-old was shot and killed by a Colorado Springs police officer in August of 2019. Police had stopped Bailey and his cousin for questioning about a robbery. Bailey tried to run away. Body camera video showed the officer shooting Bailey while his back was turned. A grand jury later ruled the officer's actions were justified under Colorado's fleeing felon law. In addition to money, the settlement also includes multiple policy changes for the Colorado Springs Police Department, including annual anti-bias training.
Mask mandates in several Colorado counties ended over the weekend. Some school districts are also changing their policies. Cherry Creek ended its mask rules on Monday. Jefferson County will end their mask order next week. But families are getting mixed messages from federal authorities. Here's Amy Kiley.
4 states plan to lift school mask mandates by the end of March: Connecticut, Delaware, New Jersey, and Oregon. The policies are under consideration in California, New York, and Rhode Island. Courts are deciding the issue in Illinois. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy says he's gotten positive feedback about lifting the school mask mandate.
We're not declaring victory, but we are stating affirmatively that we can responsibly live with this thing. Our case count, hospitalizations, the spot positivity rate, the rate of transmission are all dropping like a rock.
But the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says nationwide numbers haven't fallen far enough. Director Rochelle Walensky says kids should still wear masks in schools, and the same goes for any indoor public setting in places with high transmission. Now more parents have decisions to make.
What we really need good criteria whereby which local agencies can actually make those decisions, because otherwise you have individual parents trying to gauge whether or not they should listen to the CDC or whether or not they should listen to their school board, and that's a really tough decision to make.
Health officials have some decisions to make too.
If the CDC guidance that they're putting out is now not being followed by virtually anyone, that makes the CDC and our federal public health authorities have less credibility. And so I really believe that they need to be changing their guidance.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Denver leaders want to see more open stores along the 16th Street Mall. The program is starting to draw people back downtown.
It's a miracle for one Colorado family. Their cat is finally back home after 9 months. So where was Harold? And before we head to break, here are some great photos from across Colorado. You can play this live Zen stream on your TV anytime on the free Denver 7 Plus app for Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, or your Android device.